Hello, foodpreneurs and dreamers. Welcome to another empowering episode of the Friends of Feadies podcast. Today, we have the privilege of welcoming a remarkable founder whose journey in the food industry is both inspiring and heartwarming. Join me in welcoming Lindsay, the visionary force behind I Love Microgreen, a family owned business that has bloomed into something truly extraordinary. Microgreens, as she passionately reminds us, are not just greens. They are nature's powerhouse of nutrients and flavors packed with health benefits that can transform lives. What sets Lindsay apart is not only her dedication to crafting creative and delectable recipes using these tiny greens, but also her unwavering commitment to making a profound impact on her community's well being. Beyond her thriving business, she is on a mission to battle the adversities faced by her Metis and indigenous heritage. Through her strength, and she has overcome challenges that life threw her way, emerging as a source of inspiration for everyone around her. The roots of I Love Microgreen extend far deeper than the fertile soil of their farms. In the face of personal tragedy, Lindsay discovered the healing power of nurturing life and growth. Her business became more than just a venture, it became her pathway to grieve, recover, and rise above the darkness when her father faced his own battle. As we sit down with Lindsay today, we hope to uncover the depths of her remarkable journey from her roots in Indigenous heritage to the trials and triumph of being a female founder in the food industry. So, without further ado, let's welcome Lindsay, the heart and soul behind I Love Microgreen. Hello, Lindsay. How are you doing today? I'm very good. Thank you for being here. I'm very glad for having you here because for sure we can discuss about many things from being a female founder in the food industry up to being like having a very inspiring story about indigenous and Métis background. So just can you take us back to the early days of I Love Microgreen and tell us what inspired you?
Yeah, so about 7 years. Well, I lost my dad to suicide almost 10 years ago, and I was on this own personal journey of grief recovery. And also during the recession of 2016 in Alberta, it was really hard to find work. So I started working on organic farms, and those organic farms kind of led me to this. It gave me a lot of passion, and it was very healing to be working on farms, to know that you're producing this food to feed a family. And it was that kind of started this, ignited this want and need to grow food. Because we don't have land, I tried to look into indoor farming, and we came across microgreens, and we're like, well, we can do that. So coming from the farming background, I knew all the steps that I had to do in order to get into grocery stores. So I knew I had to find a space that was health inspected and able to grow, that was separate from our home. So we went out and just went out to our community and asked if anyone had a space. Nobody knew what we were doing 6 years ago. Microgreens was still quite a new concept. So a lot of people welcomed us in, and we found a space to rent for very cheap. So it gave us that ability to research and trial and error and figure out our way with the microgreens, and getting our setup set to what would work and what would grow best for us. And then we met our first grocery store, and we were really successful with them. And they actually are still, we've been with them for 5 years, and they're a local organic grocery store here in Red Deer. And we, about a year into our growing, we decided, well, we need to do more than just microgreens. We have to do salads, and so we use local farmers' ingredients and organic ingredients to make these salads. And then a few of our grocery stores, like Pure Earth Organics and Nutters, they started taking our easy to go vegetable salads and they started selling quite well. So we're still continuing. That's 4 years into growing salads or and making salads for people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing. So you mentioned that there is a research behind the microgreens that you grow. Tell us a little bit more about that. What sets your microgreens apart?
Okay. So we use, so when I explain on our growing process, we use a hybrid hydroponic system. I still use soil as my base to grow everything. We don't add any nutrients. We just grow the microgreens for 8 days. We don't, and I get a lot of people that say, "Oh, your microgreens taste really good," and I feel like that's because we still grow with soil. We put a lot of intention into what we do. A lot of that stems from my culture too. So I didn't realize that me putting intention and good intention into my food and also using soil and like using the earth basically was something that sets us apart from people. When I started, I only started with just 5 types of microgreens, the most, I guess, the well known. So, like your broccoli, your pea shoots, your radish, and mustard. And so we just started with those few just to, I didn't want to overwhelm myself with like we grow 13 seeds, different seeds. I tried to keep it simple, and I found that was more successful just doing it that way.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so you are now having doing like grow your products in house, or you already took it out? Like, how do you do it?
Yeah, so we've we have a health inspected farm, and we actually share a space with another fellow accelerator, so
Mm,
chaiwalas. So we share this space together, and we've kind of partnered to be able to rent a large
mhm.
bay. So our farm is health inspected, so we are able to get our products out to grocery stores and into restaurants. And I used to have, so this is a recent change. I used to have a storefront at the Gasoline Alley Farmers Market, but we've actually just changed our business. So I actually stepped away from there and just do wholesale to restaurants and grocery stores. But I stepped into a role where I'm an indigenous, helping with a company called Green Igloo, which is a nonprofit company where we build greenhouses and teach how to grow food and how to tackle food
Mhm.
security on small communities as well in mostly on reserve and settlement land.
Yeah,
So
what you have done is amazing. Like you, it sounds like you overcame like all the challenges, and you just use them as like an empowering story to just empower yourself and grow and do much more something better. Tell us a little bit more about like the challenges you faced because you are indigenous or Métis. Because in our community we have indigenous people, and we kind of want to show them and inspire them and show you as an example.
yeah, so I feel coming from, so my mom is Métis, but she was a part when she was about 8 years old. She was taken away and put into foster care, and so she's kind of faced a lot of things, but her resiliency um, kind of broke a barrier for me and my family because I have come from a family of 4 girls. And so I always look to her for all this stuff that she went through going through foster care. through growing through not knowing her culture. And when we were little, she rediscovered her culture and brought it into us. And I just always thank her for being that resilient role model for me. And I want to be that role model for other Indigenous people, just so they know, like, that we come from a history of a lot of sadness and brokenness, but we can overcome that. And we always have to just look at that positive side. I'm really thankful to have a great support system, but I also thank my mom for giving me that strength and that example to be resilient as well. And I just keep pushing forward and remember that my ancestors were resilient, and I will be resilient, and my future will be resilient. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, how do you think people like you who are going through a healing journey can heal themselves, like going through a self-development journey, as well as like growing their business or I don't know, their idea, whatever they want to grow in their life?
For me, this journey of like, I could have went the opposite way and just felt really sorry for myself and think bad things just happened to me. But I was like, for me, I took the loss of my dad and realized he wouldn't want me to be sad. He wouldn't want me. He was my number one cheerleader when he was here on. And so I always try to make him proud and make my mom proud. And in the Indigenous communities, we do struggle with a lot of loss from suicide. Um, and because we're not, I think we just have to be more self aware, and we have to have those role models that show us that through adversity, we can, I don't know, we can bring something beautiful to the world. There's not many Indigenous farmers, and this is one thing that I want to inspire more Indigenous people to get into growing food. Food is like what brings everyone together. Food in every culture. You know, we can like I can meet somebody else from a different culture and we bond over their food, like through Indian or through Filipino or anything. I've always made friends because we talk about what their favorite food is growing up, or so that's just what I think food is healing.
Yeah, that's true, and I think we are all here for a purpose to make some change. And I'm very happy that you found your purpose and you know what you want to change. And I know that Indigenous communities have a rich cultural heritage and traditional knowledge. So, how do you think businesses and organization can benefit from incorporating indigenous perspective and practices into their operation?
Yeah, that's an awesome question because like what I believe, the Indigenous side, we bring a lot of intention. We listen to our elders. We're storytellers. We are resilient. There are, I think, bringing in those key that we, in our culture, we listen to the youth. We listen to our elders. We take everybody's opinions and we really, um, I like that we foster that we listen. And I think that can be brought into a lot of businesses because I see like from my experience working in offices, it's a very if you're not the boss, you're like you're just a worker, and they don't treat you. Your opinions don't matter. But I feel like if we brought that Indigenous side in, and the way I run my business is I reach out to people in a community and I listen to them because I honestly want to know their stories. And I think that's something that just comes from my culture. So.
Yeah, I understand. And I believe that this resilience in your culture could be very helpful to thrive in the entrepreneurial journey as well. Because for sure, you as a female founder or in general as an entrepreneur know that entrepreneurship is not easy, it's hard. And yeah, you have to survive through this path, and you are successful that, as you mentioned, that you're already if I understood correctly, like your product is to the shelves of the grocery stores, right?
Yeah, yeah. So, and I'm also working on a few new projects with my dressings and to get those out so I can have a more shelf stable product. Um, and I'm also working on with this partnership with Green Igloo, just teaching more about growing, teaching people about mental health and resiliency. So it's been a really cool journey in the last 5 years, just where we started to now where we're going. And I keep always, each year I look back at everything that I've accomplished and I'm like, wow, you really did do something this year, Lindsay. You have to be, and I try to celebrate those accomplishments. And that's just something I've learned in my healing journey, in my mental health. And I think that's what keeps me staying here and being successful. So,
Yeah, celebrating a small success throughout this journey is very important. I agree with you. And as you already established partnership with like retailers, and it's this can be a like hard process. So if someone come to you and say that I have a product, I want to take it to the shelves of grocery stores, how should I do that? What would you tell?
um, so the way I've established my relationships with my grocery stores and with my restaurants, and I also work with a few farms that do CSA farm boxes. I mean, I feel that because I established a relationship with them, and when I go in to drop off my product, I always just ask them how they're doing. I make that known that we I do care about them and they care about me. And I think because this last 5 years, I've established a lot of relationships that way. And I think we need to approach partnerships and with that communication, but with that, but actually being that partnership and being not being friendly with each other and knowing about each other. And I think that makes you, and people get to know about you and putting in volunteer work and wanting to help each other. And that's how I've established those relationships.
Yeah, building relationship is very important. Sometimes when we want to go to an investor or we want to make new partnership, we forget that the other side they're also human. So yeah, we need to build a relationship. And I'm very happy to have you here because I think you can be the voice of indigenous people as well as female founder. So you think what are some specific needs that in general both like female founders or indigenous have, and like what kind of support we should provide them?
Yeah. So it it is hard to start a business in general, and I think with Indigenous sometimes, and I think being a woman too, you start to self sabotage yourself. Like I'm not worthy of this, and I think going back to that mental health, and I think we need more support just knowing how to start a business, but also having those maybe support groups throughout, like being like, no, you're doing okay. You're going to have ups and downs. It's a journey. It's not, you're not going to start your business and tomorrow it's going to be extremely successful. You're going to hit these bumps, and we have to realize that it's a journey. And I do believe that there are some more mental health wise because there is generational trauma that's happened to us and that I carry on things that have happened to my grandmother. And I know that through my DNA. And I'm really thankful that I have a support person like my mom and my husband and my children that can be like, help me understand. And using this, like being with the Saskatchewan Food Center, like this has helped me in my confidence because I can reach out to somebody and understand that, okay, today's a bad day, but tomorrow's going to be better. So,
Definitely. I really like your positivity. That's what every founder needs to have because this path is full of challenge, full of up and downs, and you just should be so much inspired and motivated to be able to survive and grow. That's amazing. And what you have already done, it's great. But if you had the chance to start the I Love Microgreen again, what do you think would do different?
um, I think I would invest more into advertising right off the bat. I would look at branding. That's one thing I've really learned is that your advertising, your social media, your branding is so key. And that's one thing that I think I would change if I could go back. I would look at it more of an investment, not just that it's money spent, but it is an investment and it will benefit you. So,
Yeah, definitely. Marketing and social media, very important. If I believe like founders are not able to outsource this at the beginning, just to start to share your stories, leverage social media, and you don't have to be like taking it so serious or you look for fancy posts. Just post it, share your story, and people love it. Great, Lindsay. And my last question would be about like your future plans for micro. I love microgreen. What would you like to achieve more?
yeah. So, um, this last few months we've gone through a lot of changes, but I'm really excited. So we want to get our dressings out into production and into stores. So that's one thing I put more time into, growing more, but also looking into mentorship and to teach. And so I'm looking into that avenue as well as this new part where I'm partnering and contracting for Green Igloo. I'll be traveling across Canada to indigenous communities, and I'm hoping that I can inspire them and get them really excited about growing food and maybe inspiring them on their health journey or their grief journey, and knowing that I can connect because I've gone through some huge loss and I've come on the other side and I'm doing really well. So
Yeah, you're doing amazing. Thank you. And so you want to start mentorship. So we definitely put you as one of the mentors as our new accelerator cohort. The cohort 5 will begin in September, and the registration is already open when we are recording this. I'm not sure when it's going to be published. And so people can reach out to you and receive advice. How people can get in touch with you, Lindsay?
um, there is, I have my Instagram and my Facebook. My Instagram is a little bit easier to navigate, I find, with business. And then we have email at I love microgreens at outlook.com. If they're in central Alberta, if they want to give me a, a message through Instagram, we can always set up a time where they want to come see what I'm doing and just even meet me. That would be awesome. So yeah.
Thank you so much for being that much accessible. And the last word, if you want to give a suggestion or advice for early stage entrepreneurs, what would you say?
Yeah, I know like a lot of people say never give up, but I always say trust that journey. You're not going to be perfect the first time you do something, and to take those failures as those learning steps to, and your journey might change halfway through, and just to be happy with where you're going and just trust it.
Thank you so much, Lindsay. It was great to talk to you, and I'm very happy to also get to know you. Stay strong and stay positive. I'm sure you will rock it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.